To achieve an effective view of the sideboard, we will position the camera directly in front of it, keeping it at a height from the ground that ensures a realistic and balanced perspective. After positioning the camera, we will proceed to slightly rotate the sideboard in order to add dynamism to the shot and make the final image more visually appealing and interesting. Before analyzing the camera placement, it is essential to properly set the output image dimensions to optimize the final visualization of our project. This configuration will not only affect the sharpness and visual detail of the final rendering, but will also determine the format of the resulting image, as well as the actual area viewed by the virtual camera. By setting the dimensions correctly, we ensure that the camera captures the desired area of the scene. Let's access the Properties window and open the Output tab. To set the image size, it is essential to establish an aspect ratio that suits our needs. In this case, we choose a 3:2 ratio, which is very common in photography and excellent for a wide range of visual applications. We then assign the value of 1920 to the width x and 1280 to the height y. These values will define the pixel resolution of the final render. Now let's see how to position the camera. In the outliner, click on Scene Collection to make the main layer active. In the 3D view, press Shift+A and from the menu that appears, select Camera. In the corresponding tab of the Properties window, make sure the focal length is set to 50 mm. This is certainly an appropriate value for photographing this type of product in a studio environment. Now let's set the view to wireframe mode to better see its orientation. The camera object is placed completely at random at the location of the 3D cursor. So let's start by adjusting the camera, correctly setting its rotation values. In the rotation parameter of the transform panel, change the X value to 90 degrees and set the Y and Z values to 0 degrees. This way, we orient the camera towards the sideboard. Click on the Y axis or press the G and Y keys and move the camera in front of the sideboard at an approximate distance. Press the 0 key on the numeric keypad to switch to the camera view. And by pressing the Z key, we change the display mode to solid. For a product like this, we can set the camera at a height of 100 centimeters from the ground, so in the location parameter change the Z value to 100. If the sideboard is not fully visible in the frame, you will need to move the camera further back to ensure a complete view. Therefore, let's adjust the Y field in the location parameter and set an appropriate distance. We can see that currently the camera is framing the sideboard too low. To fix this issue, open the Properties window, select the Camera tab, and open the Viewport Display panel. Scroll down to the Composition Guide section and enable the Thirds option. By using the rule of thirds, the camera view is divided into 9 sections, drawing guidelines that help us achieve a more balanced composition. In particular, we'll focus on the first dashed line at the bottom, which should roughly align with the base of the sideboard. This allows us to position the camera so that the framing appears visually more harmonious and balanced, improving the overall aesthetic result. To achieve this result, without changing the camera height and while keeping the vertical lines perfectly straight, we can use the lens shift option. Specifically, we lower the value of the shift Y parameter until the first dashed line at the bottom aligns with the base of the median. In this way, we can adjust the framing precisely, ensuring that the composition is balanced and that the vertical lines remain perfectly aligned without perspective distortions. This technique, known precisely as lens shift, is widely used in photography as well, especially in architectural photography, to correct perspective and keep vertical lines perfectly aligned. After several tests, I found that a distance of -380 centimeters from the camera to the cabinet and a Y shift value of -0.20 are optimal for achieving a balanced and well-composed shot. These parameters ensure a complete view of the sideboard, maintaining the correct proportions and perfectly straight vertical lines. The idea of photographing the sideboard from such a frontal position, however, might raise some doubts in terms of dynamism and visual impact. For this reason, let's try rotating the sideboard slightly on the Z-axis to see how the effect changes. Select the empty object, then press RZ and, while holding down the Control key, move the mouse to rotate the sideboard by 5 degrees at a time. We decide to stop at 25 degrees, a value we can monitor in real time in the top left corner of the viewport during the rotation. Alternatively, for greater convenience, we can also modify the rotation value afterwards by using the panel that appears at the bottom left of the viewport, where it is possible to enter the exact value even after the rotation has been locked. This camera setup, combined with the slight rotation of the sideboard, allows us to achieve a much more dynamic and interesting final image. As always, we save the file progressively. In the next lesson, we will focus on lighting the photo set and creating the first test renderings.